And US President Donald Trump has now decided to pull out of the Paris climate change agreement. This according to a new report. According to the news website Axios, Trump has begun consultations on the exit process with senior officials. According to Axios, a letter from 22 Republican senators asking Trump to withdraw from the agreement played a major role in his decision. Trump had earlier refused to endorse the climate accord at the recent G7 summit, but has been facing international pressure not to withdraw from the agreement on Tuesday. Even United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres argued for a united global fight against climate change. But Donald Trump has repeatedly declared his views against the deal. He has also called global warming a hoax. The US is the world's biggest economy and the second largest emitter of greenhouse gases after China. That's the latest. Donald Trump there deciding to pull out of the Paris climate agreement. This according to a new report that is emerging at this point. Perhaps Donald Trump will come out with an official version. In fact, for now, many media organizations repeatedly reporting on this, that Donald Trump has decided to pull out of the Paris climate deal. This according to a news website Axios. Two sources close to the Trump administration said that the president has already started consultations on the exit process with senior officials. The move, if this is true, it would strike a massive blow to the legacy of Barack Obama, who viewed, in fact, the tackling of climate change as a top priority and considered this agreement as one of his personal achievements as well. And the US pulling out also will mean undermining the ambitions of the agreement, which was signed by 195 other countries, including America's close ally, Britain. Now, what Axios is reporting is that this news is coming in after a letter from 22 Republican senators was signed urging the US president to withdraw from the climate change accord, and that perhaps would have played a major decision if reports are to be believed at this point. The big question is, what will Donald Trump do? If these reports are to be believed, then in fact the US is all set to pull out from the Paris climate deal. A deal which is in many ways a cornerstone of Barack Obama's environmental policy. This is one question that has been looming for a long time now, ever since Donald Trump took over as the president. In fact, during his recent visit to Europe as well, many nations urged him, in fact, to stay part of the accord. All right, in fact, let's get in WION senior editor Surya Gangadharan over the phone line. Surya, although these are just merely reports as of now, but if this is true, this is going to be a big blow for the accord itself.
But you know what strikes me here is the fact that why didn't Trump make this announcement earlier when he was meeting NATO leaders, when he met Angela Merkel in Germany? So those questions apart, Trump had promised during his election campaign that he would pull out of the climate accord. And the Republican Party is in favor of it. The question, there have been reports, persistent reports in the American media about a decision being imminent on this issue. So one would have expected that perhaps latest by Friday, there would have been a formal statement from the Trump administration about this. But I would presume that the Trump administration is under a lot of pressure, international pressure on this issue. Pulling out of an agreement of this kind is not going to be easy. It involves enormous, it's taken a lot of time for the U.S. to reach this kind of stage. And to abandon such a measure, which is an international agreement, has huge implications for the U.S. It implies that climate change is not a priority for the U.S. It implies so many other things on the environmental front. And I think that's where the concerns really lie.
Absolutely. And also, Surya, what happens next? Because if this is true, then this means that during his recent visit to Europe, where he was, almost pressurized into not pulling out of this accord, that means even close allies like Britain were urging Donald Trump not to do that. Now, in case if he goes ahead with this, it's also going to disturb, equations as well. What do you have to say on that?
One can describe the Paris Agreement as the single biggest international agreement of its kind, unique and involving, and countries got there after enormous effort, enormous negotiation, and a lot of compromise. And there were certain verifiable, realizable targets that were set for each country. So in that sense, now to go back to the drawing board, after this has collapsed, it means that every country is on its own, that climate change no longer matters, and everybody does what they want. So you're going to see, from what the environmental groups are saying, they're forecasting rise in temperatures, maybe as much as 2 degrees. Trump has promised to reopen coal mines and go back to using coal as a source of energy. So that means the U.S. has huge reserves of coal, and perhaps the sky is the limit as far as usage of that fuel is concerned. So we are going to see a huge rise in temperatures, breakdown of an entire agreement. In a sense, it may lessen the pressure on India to measure up to climate, to what it committed to. But I think India will stay the course and try and ensure that its slate remains clean.
All right, Surya, we'll leave it at that. Of course, we will be tracking all developments as far as the climate accord is concerned, and what will be US President Donald Trump's final stance be on this. But for the moment, let's move on.